pounds of salmon, to marinate it with 1 teaspoonful of ground turmeric and about 1 teaspoonful of salt, and I usually use Himalayan pink salt, and I have marinated it for about 15-20 minutes to get the fishy smell out. And then what I'll do, I will rinse it for say 7 to 10 times. And next step would be, I would be using 1 whole lemon, the juice of 1 whole lemon, which is about 1/4 cup, and marinate it for another say 15 minutes. And then I don't rinse it anymore, and I'll be going straight to cooking. Thank you so much. Your Nanu, your grandma, she always believed in the concept of farm to table concept. I mean, that time this concept was not known as much, but that she always would have her kitchen garden in the backyard, also on the rooftop. She would have a variety of herbs and veggies, and right before cooking she will send one of us, go pick up this and that, and she'll add it to her cooking. Now I know in the West this farm to table concept has become so popular. Fish with lime leaves, because it adds so much of flavor. I would add it at the end of the cooking, and also I use lime leaf for cooking dal. Oh, the aroma is amazing. So this is the lime leaves. It's fresh and young, and smell it.
Wow. So this takes me back a little bit to my childhood. Remember, we used to always be out, you'd have us dig and plant, and we would watch myriad plants and flowers and produce bloom over the course of the season. And as an adult, revisiting that same experience with you out here in the garden in this beautiful September weather, it's just really apparent how much of a miracle this is, watching dead soil give rise to life with nothing more than water and sunlight. It's actually fascinating, and I feel like this type of experience really helps connect you with the cooking and what you're consuming.
That's so true. That's so true, that cooking connects to nature, connects to nutrition, and it's also a form of it sort of creates a community.
Yeah.
See, in the olden days, father, mother, children, they would all work out in the fields, and they would harvest and eat from the freshly harvested crops and the foods, and the nutrition and the joy, everything, I think, make that cooking, that recipe, much more wholesome than fine dining at the best restaurant, right? So cooking is community.
Absolutely.
Cooking is love. Cooking is connection. Cooking is also memory. Like as I'm picking this lime leaf, or I pick the tomatoes with you, my mind went back to my childhood. I, thought about my mom, my grandma, all those laughters, all those, cooking all together, cousins coming, invitation. So absolutely, and in Bangladesh, we come from a very much community and cooking culture. We take pride in our cuisine, and this memory must not be lost.
Ammu, what are these ancient-looking artifacts all about, and can you explain the inscriptions that we see on them as well?
You can read Bengali, so try to.
Oh my goodness!
You're
going to have me read Bengali script?
That's your great grandmother's.
Okay, what does it say here? We have Fatima, Khatun, and I can't read this. What does it say?
Yes, that has, probably the inscription is not that clear. It's 1926. So
Wow.
this is your great grandmother, my mother's
This This was inscribed in 1926?
Yes, 1926. The year my great grandfather Dr. Syed Ghulam Mustafa. He was among the first batch of Muslim doctors in the subcontinent. And he, as an expert, a doctor, well-known doctor he was, he also enjoyed cooking.
Wow.
Yes, he took interest in cuisine and he made several pots, even much bigger pots and a variety of pots, and each of these pots are custom made, and he gifted to his daughter, his precious daughter, Fatima Khatun, many pots. But most of the pots got stolen, unfortunately. So in 2007, when I went to visit my mom, and I saw a few pots, and she was sad that many were lost or stolen, so she gave me these pots as memory.
Wow.
So I think I carry the legacy of a great heritage, goes back to my ancestors.
So this is your maternal grandfather,
Yes,
and the inscription here is your maternal grandmother, Fatima
Yeah.
Khatun.
yes.
Then it made its way to my grandmother,
Yes.
your mother,
Yes,
then to you,
yes.
and now I'm touching that legacy,
Heritage,
that
yes.
heritage, right?
And see how heavy the pots are. This pot is how heavy,
Amazing.
made of pure copper.
Mm.
And in olden days they made it very heavy to keep the temperature intact, so that just you made it fresh and it can hold the heat for 2-3 hours. And these are all custom made, and each pot signifies a memory. I think I have served in USA. In this pot I have served rice, I have served dal, or the beef curry. So each pot signifies special moment, memory, my ancestors' stories, pretty much.
Incredible.
Yeah, they are. Cooking salmon curry, and as I mentioned before, you can use it with carp. It's the king of fish we call in Bangladesh, rui mach, or soy fish, which is similar to air fish, air mach in Bangladesh, rainbow trout, sea bass, etc. I have chosen salmon. It's my own fusion. My mom also liked this salmon curry whenever I made for her. And the main ingredients I am using, following my mom's recipe, with a few twists of my own. So I will be using, for example, now oil.
So how many tablespoons are we doing here?
I'm doing, see, I go 1, 2, 3, 4 tablespoons. Try to go low on oil, not too much oil, but at the same time, not too less. And then I will be using other ingredients soon. About 2 cups, about 2 cups.
Now, when you say about 2 cups, is this more of an art than a science?
Art size, because I said 2 cups, now I'm giving a little bit more, said 3 cups, okay? So 3 cups.
You can never go wrong with onion, huh?
No, you can never, you got it right.
Ah.
So for this recipe I'm using 3 cups of onion. It takes about 4 minutes for the onion to become translucent, and it has become softer. So now I will add salt. So I'm adding for here like 1.5 teaspoon Himalayan pink salt.
That first teaspoon was heaping.
Yeah, well, not so much.
So it's again more of the art and less of the science.
Yeah, more of the art, less of the science.
I think this is why I could never properly learn a dish from you when I was trying to learn as a teenager.
I'm using ginger, 1.5 teaspoonful of ginger. These are like freshly ground ginger. I like to use more, like I buy fresh ginger, organic ginger, and I blend it with a little bit of water, freeze it in small containers, so whenever I need, I bring it out and cook, because anything home ground, home blended spices, taste better, smells so much better. So now I'm sauteing. Probably I'll be sauteing for another like half a minute. Freshly blended garlic. And you saute for another 1 minute while sprinkle a little bit of water. So I have 1 1/4 cups of water. So add some for sprinkling a little so that the spices don't dry up. This pot may look a little bigger, but I like it because that way you can spread the fish and they don't, stack up on each other. Like less than half teaspoonful of chili, and then one can always add more to taste, and then add, next to is the turmeric, add 2 teaspoonful of turmeric. And we kept the heat on medium. And sprinkle a little bit of water and saute it. Probably will be sauteing it for another, let's add a little bit. A little bit more, and that's it. And then saute for another minute. Taj is adding 3 teaspoonful of freshly ground cumin. Okay, that's the last of the spices. Fish doesn't require many, which usually we put a lot more for meat or chicken, like garam masala, like cardamom, cinnamon. We would add additional for the meat or poultry cuisine. But for the fish, my mom, she would be using pretty much these spices. So we will be sauteing for another 2-3 minutes.
Now we're adding in half of the tomato, but how much tomato is half approximately?
We picked, remember, from the garden, we picked three medium
yes.
tomatoes.
So this is about 1.5 right now.
Right, 1.5 of the medium tomatoes.
Does that look like about half to you?
Yeah, about that doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
that should
about
be
half.
okay, yes.
Yeah.
So Taj will be sauteing the tomatoes for another 2 minutes or till the tomatoes become mushy and mixes with the spices. It doesn't have to be all blended together. Tomato can still have a little bit of its chunks around, that's fine.
Okay, so now you want me to mush the tomato a little bit to get some of the juices flowing, right?
Yes. So cooking is, guys, it's also, it's an art, science, and also a lot of patience and focus. It's a mindfulness. So if you want to relax, come and cook. And at this stage, when the tomatoes have blended, we are going to use the fish, and I have marinated it with lemon juice. And at this point, I'm not going to rinse because I've already rinsed it before, as has been shown with when I added turmeric and salt, and then washed very well and marinated with lemon juice. And now I am putting them one piece after another. And I'll show you that these are the cuts. Usually this is the typical cut of the salmon steak, but I've also cut one steak differently, the way in Bangladesh we would cut. So these are called gada, and this is called peti in Bangladesh, the softer part. So gada and peti. All right, and these are the lemon juice, and just put it all over. So I am adding a little bit of sauce. This is the sauce over the salmon, and rest of the water from the 1 1/4 cup we use some for sprinkling around the spices, and now I'm using all the water, the remaining water, into the salmon, and let's cook. And I'll cover it at this point, and after, so cover it. So we'll come back after between 5 and 7 minutes.
We are at the end of the 7 minutes and taking off the lid right now.
It looks good.
Wow.
So what I will do at this point, I will spread some sauce. See, it's nicely colored, looks good. I like to spread the sauce just over instead of turning it, because that way the fish stays intact and less worry about the breakage. You want the fish to be intact. Okay, and then now, Taj, you can add
The rest of it?
yes, the tomato.
So this is the
Split.
remaining 1.5 tomato.
Right. If you take too large, then it will be too large would be enough. But we pick 3 medium for the garden, and one more piece. Okay. And the green chilies, these are optional. You can slit it at the end. You a little bit so it brings out more flavor. And I'll shake it a bit, just to make sure it doesn't stick at the bottom. And I'm using this like non-stick pan, so that's better, that it prevents from sticking. Alright, so now let it cook for another 5 minutes, and we'll come back to check.
Wow, look at this. The colors, the aroma, even the presentation in this state. Fish isn't usually my first preference, but this is making a believer of me too.
Oh, I am so happy, Taj. That's great. So we are going to now make it even more sumptuous. Remember, we picked the lime leaves. These are the kaffir lime. So we are going to add, so we are coming back after 5 minutes, right? After 5-6 minutes. So these are the lime leaf we will add. This is optional. This is optional. And this has fantastic aroma. Fantastic. So, and then you'll find the dill. Okay, we'll sprinkle the dill over. So it's about, like the dill is about 1 cup of dill. 1.5 cup is fine. And I also use not only the leaves, also the stems. Alright. At this point, salmon is done. So Taj, if you may cover the dish and then turn off the stove. Bon appetit!
That's good.
Alright, that's fine. I'll give you a
Just a small piece. A small piece. Yes. Okay.
and
Thank you. Sauce. Here we go. Okay.
to use my hands for any Bengali cuisine, especially fish curry with rice. I will not dare to put fork into it because I think it will not taste as good. So in Bangladesh, in the Indian subcontinent, mostly we use our hand and of course washed hands, and the fish curry especially tastes so much better.
In that case, I am very daring because I will dare to put my fork in the fish because I grew up in the United States. But I learned how to use my hands during my 14 years as an adult in Bangladesh, so I use both. You can consider me a fusion of cultures. And the fish is great. I think it has a bit to do with me being involved in the process that's making it taste so good. And I don't know, no promises, but this might be something I repeat in the future. Again, please don't hold me to it.
So I have been blessed for 23 years now with all this amazing Bangladeshi food. And although I have not gotten myself to know how to use my hands, but I do enjoy it with my typical fork and knife and spoon. And definitely I always say that my wife's food is the best food in the world. And I really mean it. She makes the best food I ever had.
Naveen, thank you so much for all the help in video recording. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the lovely recipe and the lovely gathering and having me here. And the amount of love I felt while just standing and filming this great recipe and the lovely story I heard proves the connection of love to food and how cooking could be just cooking for peace and love. Now we tasted the fish and it's really very nice. The sense of all the Bengali food having the fresh vegetables within the food, garden to kitchen, it's really great, and I hope you all try this dish from your fresh garden.